All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another podcast. I lost my podcast.
Oh, you going first? My bad. It's your girl, me, TG. I don't have my book, but I'm author of the book I Lost My Mom, Now What, which is always available on Amazon. And I have my co-host.
It's none other than your boy, Husky Hefe, the Fat Fitness model, Jose Cortez. And
That's it?
Yeah, that's it for now. Emerald Lajashi. Don't forget Emerald Lajashi. I've been in the kitchen tough lately, so
Okay.
yeah, just be on the lookout for that cup of tea. But nevertheless, we are here, and what are we here to do?
To have another episode. We are here to work on healing, and just, this is a podcast of growth, so hopefully you get inspired to heal with us. Basically, short and sweet.
Short and sweet, point blank, period. You know what we come here to do. We come here, I won't say ruffle feathers, but we are here to, like she stated, we are here to heal. Mm-hmm. Some things you may not agree with,
even if it makes you uncomfortable too. So.
Yeah, some things may be uncomfortable, but the biggest thing is work through all of this in which we do. Do not feel higher than most or others. Just work through situations and really challenge yourself to heal.
Yep.
A big thing I did here is healing is scary.
Very.
So on the other side of fear is greatness, is all the things you long for and you hope for. So let's get to it.
Yes.
So today we have a good episode. The title of this episode is A Thin Line Between Love and Struggle. We gonna get into it today.
Yes.
But nevertheless, welcome back. Welcome back. It is season 3. This is the second episode of the season. How has your week been going so far?
Well, depending on when y'all see this, technically it's the beginning of the week. So far, so good. Yesterday was a little trying, but the more that I have days that are trying or a little frustrating, each day I learn to pivot. Okay, what could I do to make my day better, so I don't repeat my frustrating day, if that makes sense. So considering how I will say knocked off my game I felt yesterday, today was very productive. It was good. So far so good, I have to say. I would rate, if I had to rate my day, I would rate it a 8, a 8.5. What about you?
That's pretty solid. Well, as for me, I would rate today, I'm gonna go off a rating. Today has been a solid, I say about a solid 8. I still got some things to accomplish after this podcast is recorded, so that's kind of weighing on my head, oh man, you still got some stuff to do. But nevertheless, I was very productive. Like I said, Emerald Lajashi is here, so he has been very much so in the cooking space and cooking with a purpose, ethically experimenting on foods to better serve the community and the needs of our people.
I was going to say, for those that don't know who Emerald Lajashi is, you want to explain what side of you is that? So
Emerald Lajashi is the cook. Emerald Lajashi came about, I want to say roughly about 3 years ago. He started to really protrude forward and let it be known that he's a force to be reckoned with in the kitchen. Now, Emerald Lajashi is still a little shy, but Emerald Lajashi understands that no one can stop his greatness. So it's a challenge for him, but he's gonna give it his all. He's like wham in the kitchen. Is wham, so
the meals ain't shy, I'll say that.
So yeah,
throwing down.
Like tonight, I think the meal is a mango citrus chicken, followed with sweet potato, sweet chili, sweet potato puree. It's crazy. I infused some garlic today, some olive oil with garlic, and that's a chili a chili oil type look, I'm gonna stop here.
Let me know, because we got to talk about the fact that we've been watching real briefly, because I know we got to get into the topic. We've been watching Pressure Cooker on Netflix, and when I tell you, both me and Josh, the Husky
Emerald
or Joshi, we both was inspired to like step up our cooking game. Like, I cooked, I don't even know what type of stir fry I did yesterday, but I pulled it, like, I gourmeted that thing yesterday, and I didn't think I could, and I figured it out. And then he made like an awesome Caesar salad with like raspberries. It's like a spin on the Caesar. Y'all not ready. Y'all not ready.
It's the sweet mother of Caesar salad.
Fire.
Like, guys.
Fire.
Like, guys. Yeah.
But anyway.
But nevertheless, man, no free publicity. So Pressure Cooker, if you want me to come on there and show y'all what to do, I will. You know, nah.
I'll be a blind tester any day.
But nah, don't get it twisted. Like, I was already up in mine because I'm on my journey. So don't think because of Pressure Cooker I got inspired. I was already doing my thing. I got
inspired by Pressure
Cooker.
She
more so got inspired.
All right, let me challenge myself a little bit more. But anyway.
Yeah. So we're not gonna hold you. So my week. Did I even say that?
Yeah, did you rate it?
So I think I did. I said it was an 8.
Okay.
It was an 8. So
was it good? Was it bad? Was it challenging? How was your mental?
My mental is good. It's a constant battle. That's just to be honest. It's a constant battle, and that's just life though. So I don't get too down. It's about being optimistic and not pessimistic.
Yeah.
The power of being positive and the belief in being positive, because you can change any situation. So with that being said, I've been doing way better. I
think it's important to point out too, me and you both, really you though, have really been working our butts off to like get production, get my channel on YouTube, Michi G, his channel, our podcast. Like, we really been working, y'all. If y'all know us and y'all haven't seen us in person, that's why we've been like grinding. He's been in the kitchen. So these little rough days we've been having is just because like we're starting to feel burnout from all the stuff that we do. And like, but we're trying to stay motivated. If that
burnout
makes sense.
is a tough question. I mean, a tough word
not
to use.
Burnout.
It's just we're producing a lot of content, and when you dedicate yourself to production, it takes a lot. It takes a toll. So to those who thinking, oh, podcasting is easy or YouTube is easy,
darn near got a network. Okay,
nah, you got to get right. You got to get right.
Yeah.
You really got to put up or shut up. So we've been pushing ourselves to shut up more because we have to put up. So
yes,
but let's jump right into this.
Let's do our breathing. Before we get into our topic, let's take 3 mindful breaths after we talk about our day. It's important to inhale, positivity, exhale negativity to, clear your energy a little bit. So go ahead and breathe in real slow for me. And breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in one more time. And breathe out. Loosen up those shoulders. If you have space to stretch, go ahead and stretch. Loosen up that neck and whatever else you gotta do. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this topic.
All right. So the title of this episode, as I stated before, is what? A thin line between love and struggle.
Yes.
And background, this episode came to us as we were walking. We were putting in our miles on the track at the park, and this episode came to us, and yeah. So we're gonna start this episode off with a question.
Okay.
This question is to you as well as you all. So here's the question: can you envision the perfect world for generations behind you? What does it look like? What does that look like? Are individuals stronger? Is the world safer?
For me, I'm going to say that hopefully with the advancements of technology and just the widespread of information that we're receiving now, I would pray that the generations to come will be a lot more healed and happy, so we know how to communicate effectively what we're going through, what we've been through, and we know how to be progressive. Whereas generations, before us, I mean, they didn't have that luxury because, it was minimum space. We only had our current environment. We couldn't see that, oh, these people over here are going to therapy and it's actually okay. We couldn't see that, they're having these types of conversations and it's saving their family. Now we have that luxury to see all of that. So with that being said, I think that the future, in a perfect world, the future to me looks very healing.
Okay.
I would think so.
Okay.
I pray so.
This was my mindset. Oftentimes, we have heard the generation behind us is soft. They're softer. They're not as macho. They're not as go-getting as they're supposed to be. But is that true? And is that necessarily a bad thing? Now, this is where it's like a thin line between love and struggle, because oftentimes we feel like, okay, let's take the man, for instance.
Okay.
Oh, the man isn't as brolic. Excuse me. I'm so sorry, y'all. But the man isn't as brolic. He's not doing the same things as far as fixing cars. He's not just solely going out and coming back and providing certain things. So a lot of the older generation start to cast judgments. And I can attest that I've been one of those as far as the generation behind me, like, oh man, they don't understand how it is to be tough on them. But that's where it gets very tricky, and it can become very traumatic of an experience of a relationship between you and someone that you're scolding or you're judging. Because can I envision a world? Okay, look, if young men, young women behind us are not as what I say, macho as we are, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are not going to survive or they're not going to be thriving in this world.
Because it's a million ways to skin a cat.
It's a million ways to skin a cat. It's a million ways to get money without having to go through some of the nuances that the people before, the generations after, have went through. So, like, for instance, I didn't have to go and work at, hardcore factory like my granddad, say my granddad or something. I didn't have to do that. And it's okay. And it's like, we have to stop, kind of casting that judgment and saying things on the lines of, you weak, you don't get it, you ain't hard body as me, because that starts to demean the wellness of life. That's how I feel. So that's the basis of this episode. If I can explain, that question kind of sums it all up. So are there any family traumas that you know of that have been carried down because we think it's love? Like,
do I classify this as traumas? I want to say that I noticed that's been passed down, not just in my family, but just generations, is the woman, like, let's say you're having like family dinner or something, and like the woman fixing the plate and then the woman fixing the man's plate. And in hindsight, it's like, okay, you want to fix your man's plate, that's cool, but to fix all the men's plate, it's like, it's not the act of fixing the plate. It's like, for me and my family and like other people's family, I see how certain aspects of that handicap men in a certain way. I hope that came out right. Y'all not probably gonna understand it how I'm trying to say it, but it's like, I'll fix your plate because you're my husband, and also I know you'll fix my plate if I really needed you to. But to fix like my cousin's plate and then have to turn around, like we have, like my grandmother, she's She's one of those grandmothers that we all had that, you know, before she eats it, she got to make sure everybody else straight. And I love that about her, and I love that about their generation. But it's like I noticed that even outside of food, it's just that certain men in general, it's like in other areas, it's like they've been handicapped because the woman is the one that does this. I don't feel comfortable doing it because the woman does it. And it's like, no, food is here, plate is here. You want a plate, fix your plate. Like, it's not that big a deal. But I would say just the way that women tend to, tend to family in a way. I guess that's what has been passed down.
So I get what you're saying
certain
here.
Instances.
So in this instance, everybody is going to eat. Like, the food is prepared. And I think that kind of spawns from back in the day, right?
Yeah.
So you went out.
It's a generational thing.
Yeah. So back in the day, like, that's something that was passed down. So back in the day, maybe our family was more prone to the man steps out. He may be a hunter or gatherer, and he goes out and he works hard to get the food and supply it and put it on the table. And that means he can sit back, relax, and it's prepared for him, and it comes to him. But let's be honest, that generation is long gone.
And things are different now. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, men were actually, like, my grandfather actually went out and hunted food, deer, and brought it home, and my grandmother cooked it. And, you know, now we have stuff so on demand. You're not really going out. You're working, but you're not really hunting and, like, you know.
Our granddad was a country dude. This man was eating everything. My great granddad ate similar to how your grandma and auntie kind of describes how your granddad ate. But they like do eat what rabbit, squirrel, beaver. If I don't even know, groundhog. We heard of that. So
raccoon.
But nevertheless, he was more so of that go out and get it. Now the generation behind him, was it the same?
Fast food.
No. Was that the generation that his generation right behind him did he do? No.
And I'm thinking like the well, I don't want to say this in a way that anybody feels offended, but in my immediate family, there's not men that go out and hunt anymore. Now, in my family, yes, there are still some men in our family that hunt, but not in my immediate family. But when I look at other areas of just how women have done things in our family to be more of servitude, like to serve, and how men have received, it's like in other areas of their life, I just because I'm observant, I see how handicapped it has made them in other areas. Like, I don't know if it's like you're uncomfortable because by tradition, oh no, a woman's supposed to fix your plate, or I don't know, but I know there are other areas it's like I love that you also know how to wash your clothes, you know how to wash dishes, you know how to cook, you know how to talk that talk. Not even in my family. I don't want to make it seem like it's just my family. No. I notice even when I talk to some of my friends and talking about like how their families operate, it's like it's a lot of men that don't know how to wash their clothes. It's a lot of men that don't know how to cook a solid meal if they had to. It's a lot of men that don't know how to do a lot of basic stuff. And though we're thankful for women for providing also and serving, it's like that's kind of a trauma. It's like the woman is expected to do this, but you know.
So I'm pretty much I'm an outlier. My mom was just very I'm gonna steal this from my boy Tay, my brother Tay. And he kind of says the same. I feel like we're generational men, like, but in the sense of we create and do what we want separate from the whole, like, I guess. So if this is everybody in this generation, we're generational because we're existing on the outsides because we do things that the conventional man that's probably coming up out of the setting that you said they don't do. Like, washing your own clothes and understanding that thing.
Washing dishes.
Yeah, you have to know that. You have to do that. Now, as far as me, let me answer this question as well.
Okay.
As far as it goes for my family, Are there any family traumas that you know? The only thing I can say, because I had 3 sisters. 3 sisters, mom, me, and dad, stepdad. But anyway, mom was pretty big on, at least she taught me, that the man has to take care of like the cars and situation and stuff like that. Now, here's where it gets tricky. It's kind of like a don't get your hands dirty for the girls. And that was kind of something that I was like, hey, no. No, I don't do well. Let me say, I don't do very well with
What you mean?
What you mean?
But how you just what you just said?
Like,
getting your hands dirty for the girls.
So like I could say my mom kind of passed down to like the men we do the tough stuff. So we cut the grass. What else? We cut the grass. Now we get the cars fixed. And all this stuff like that, like this, like that. Now it's kind of like the women don't really get their hands dirty.
It's reversed, so we're handicapped in certain areas.
Yeah.
With that.
So in that, like I said, it's 3 sisters, mom. So now granted, my mom, when it's time to go, she gonna get it in. But sometimes my sisters can tend to be clueless because it's hurt them. It's kind of hindered them to be like, oh, kind of rendered them kind of clueless to like, oh, I need to, this going on with my car. Let me know, certain like that. Now my oldest sister, she's probably the best at trying to, figure things out. But in a sense, like, I'm not going to say like they just depend on the man, but they can kind of, you can kind of end up getting duped. So that's a big thing that I try to. Gender roles are damaging, and when you coach these certain gender roles, it's a thin line. It's a teetering line. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a teetering line if you teach these gender roles, because I'm a big person with, how can I put it? And I don't want to talk this to death, but I'm a person that, I feel like we're on this earth to live and understand and figure out certain things. Energy and spirituality is a big thing now on all social media. So if there's a masculine energy and a feminine energy, you have to tap into both. So if you tell somebody, oh, just fixing cars is masculine, then she'll never tap into it. So she'll forever be feminine to that aspect. And then I feel like that's where, like, you go in and get your oil change and they're charging you this much money, a lot of money. Like, she was getting an oil change and they was charging, maybe $50 more than any place else.
Okay. I was gonna say, one place was charging more than that place, but yeah. For sure. So
we have to kind of watch those gender roles and from the past, and I get it. Here's the thing, evolution happens. So we don't have to hunt like we used to, but we do have to work. So, excuse me. So in the
burpees.
So in the constructs of like a 9 to 5, okay, both people in our household work, right? So we go out and we work and we get this money. But how does it feel? It can become very draining to a person. To me, also hearing in my head, beat in my head, hey, you got to tend to the cars, you got to tend to this, you got to do the mechanical things, you got to do this, when both of us have a brain, right? And both of us are capable of managing both things. Like, it's not like I'm a mechanic or anything and I'm just going under the hood and fixing everything. But so that means I can get help from the woman to understand, oh, babe, well, this is going wrong with the car. Let me go and let's go and set it up. Let me go and set up an appointment to get it, and not be like, well, it's all on him.
Yeah, I will say, so my mother, how she was raised, my mom was cutting grass. Like, she wasn't necessarily on cars, but I think my granddad did an amazing job of making sure my mom knew how to really get it on her own if she needed to. But my mom didn't raise me necessarily like that. But my dad would like try to get me to come outside and be like, oh, well, watch me fix the car. Watch me do this with the car, that with the car. And I was just like, no, like women don't do that. Da, da, da. But to fast forward to now that I'm older and like now we do have those conversations. Like if something happens or if you're not like, let's say you're out of town or something and I break down, like I need to know how to tend to these things if you're not around or if anything could happen. So I do think that that's a good thing to
Yeah. So can you name a time in your past when a parent or family member made a comment along the lines of they need to go through this?
Not necessarily that they need to go through something, but they were going through something. I don't think there was ever an acknowledgement. My folks just kind of went through whatever they was going through. So. I'm
talking about like, so.
What you mean, like, I need to go through this to learn something or to...
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so my mom, and it was a lesson in this. Don't get me wrong, but like that same lesson, I can't necessarily agree to let happen nowadays. So it's like that's where that thin line is teetered. So, let's say high school, I missed the bus. Oh, I had to go through it. I had to walk home. Even if I called her and was like, hey, Mom, I missed it. It was like, nah, bro. Now, can I say if I took that same stance and if I had a little one and something happened, they missed the bus and I'm like, nah, bro, walk home. Is that valuable? Should I take that stance? It's kind of like
that's tough. So like, could we raise our kids the same way we were raised?
Could we raise our kids the same way?
I'm hearing you say. I think it's different today than back then, because today is so much about kidnapping and like anything could happen to kids nowadays, boy or girl. Back in the day, it was just kind of like, when nobody if things were going on, we just weren't aware to the extent that we are now. But it was a lot more carefree. We knew kind of how, I don't know, neighborhoods. I know your neighborhood growing up was about like mine. Like we all looked out for each other, so it was more trusting back in the day. Whereas today, we don't really. I don't know. Times is a little different, so I don't know if I would feel comfortable doing that with like our kids.
I remember this one time where me and my cousin Corio, man, we wanted to go to the Battle of the Bands. And we went to the Mid-South Coliseum when it was there. And we wanted to see the bands and we kicking it. So it's more so towards Orange Mound area. I want to say. And we called my auntie and we kind of like, auntie, we ready? His mom, we like, we ready? Yo, where you at? Where you at? You come to get us? We ain't getting no answer. So we had to take our butts and walk down like, and I say towards Orange Mountain. Yeah, kind of Parkway area. So we walked all the way from Parkway area, down Parkway, to all the way to North Memphis by Northside High School. They stayed on, what was that, Maury?
How many miles for those that aren't from Memphis?
I'm going to say, how many miles? I'm going to say that was probably about, I'll say a good 5. I'll say a good 5.
Ooh, sheesh.
Now, this is after it let out around 9 o'clock. So, you can only imagine 5 hours at night. So, we in here, we on the hike, and my cousin probably remember this story. And, like, I remember some guys in the car, like, rolled by
Orange Mound?
And this was not, we was walking from Orange Mound back to North Memphis, but you got to pass through like, what is this area? Overton Square type area. I did Playhouse on the Square over there, but my acting, but you got to walk through this area, which is pretty. You got you some white folks that's kind of like into the artsy stuff, but you got some crazies because it's like you passing Christian Brothers College. So we remember dudes like throwing bottles and yelling out the window, and Let me put my glasses on. Put my hat to the back like I'm ass.
Okay.
Catch 'em. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. You know what time it is? Tell me if you know what time it is. You know what time it is?
Shot o'clock.
Oh, not that, buddy. Not that, buddy, but it is time for the weekly spotlight. You know how those things go, right?
Yep. Is the spotlight that we put on a local business in our area. But anyway, no, we're just here to talk about the local business choice.
So look, it's the spotlight time. So this week we want you to take a moment out of your oh so busy day of scrolling Instagram mindlessly and check out Honeyed Natural Health and Beauty. Just type in at Honeyed, Honeyed, holistic, located in the business district of Goodlettsville, Tennessee, and servicing the greater Nashville-Davidson County area. You don't want to miss out on some natural and herbal products that'll better speak to your true essence and soul. You'll find things like crystals, natural creams, soaps, and other care products to help you better take care of yourself. Tell them what you got here from Honey.
So also they just opened a herbatory where they have like different blends of herbs, so check them out. And they do yoni steams. I haven't tried that out yet, but I'm coming soon. But anyway, I did try out, because y'all know I'm on a holistic health journey. I did try out 2 of their products just to see if I liked them, because you know my skin is sensitive, so I was like, I'm only starting with 2. So I got the all natural face wash, the vitamin C exfoliator, and I don't know if you can see on camera, but I'm like right here so far. It has helped my face tremendously. I don't think I have a before that I'll post here, but it'll probably be on my personal page. But I also got the chlorophyll toner, and as you can see, I'm not capping y'all. I actually use this, and the only reason this part isn't gone is because I was like, you know, I gotta save something to show the people, but I want y'all to know that I really be using their products.
So now look, I hate to interject, but I have to give them their credit. I'm gonna take these glasses off. You see this face? It's beautiful, isn't it?
Very.
Now,
period.
I've tried to use these things from, I don't know,
don't say the name. Don't say the name.
They're very much so commercial, and I tried these things on my face, and it really hurt my face, like to the point where it burned. Now, this, I know you'll be smelling like a cucumber salad, but I tell you, when I walked outside and the sun hit this beautiful black skin, I almost hit an ultralight beam. You understand me? And this vitamin C, I might just, like when I tell you seriously, I'm a soap and water type of guy.
I got him exfoliating.
I didn't grow up doing all this skincare and things of that nature.
Same.
But when I say Honey Natural Health and Beauty, they did their thug thizzle. They did their thing with these products. I tip my hats off to them.
The store is beautiful.
The vibe is vibey. So, you know, get down out here in Goodlettsville, and we gonna put the address and all that in our description. You get over there. We ain't got no code for you, but
like literally, we gotta show people. We're not gonna gatekeep this information. So yeah.
So nevertheless, go out and support Honey Holistic. Look at IG and go to Honey Holistic. We're putting it in here. You can see it
somewhere or at the bottom.
Yeah, we're putting it in here. Go to Honey Natural Health and Beauty in Goodlettsville, Tennessee, if you're in the Nashville, Davidson County area, and support local business. And to Honey Natural Health and Beauty, continue doing a great job. And we thank you.
I'm about to spend some more money with y'all, so thank you.
So nevertheless, that is our weekly spotlight. Peace out. Like, you know what I'm saying? We maybe like 12. And we kind of, you know what I'm saying? We kind of like trying to hold each other down. Like, bro, we good. Just keep straight, keep going towards the light. But it was like, I don't know. And we get to the house and we see Auntie was there the whole time. So it's like, bro, we teetered the line of life and death.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get you. It was like, y'all wanted to go, so find y'all way back. And it's like, bro, what if something would have happened to us?
What if something happened? Y'all would never know.
So it's like, I could not have my child tell me a story like that.
But I think that I guess the good thing is that made you have a better sense of like your surroundings and survival skills to our generation anyway. But now in today's time, like if we were still like in the 90s and times where like how they were, we didn't have as much technology and stuff. Okay, yeah, we could, maybe that's a good idea to like have you figure it out. But nah, I can't do that today.
It's
Because anything could literally happen to your kids. People could literally ride by if they listen to music. They could get swooped up. Like, today is crazy.
Yeah.
So
have you been guilty of making some of these same type of comments?
What do you mean? Like, I need to go through this?
No, have you been guilty of like, probably not even making the comments, but have you been guilty of talking to someone and kind of along the lines like, girls nowadays ain't the same and blah, blah, blah. Have you been guilty of this?
I would say some years ago. So as people, I feel like we change, every day, every month, every week, every year. And so there was a point in time where I was like, no, this is what men are supposed to do this. Women are supposed to do that. Da, da, da. But the more like me and you talk, even outside of the podcast, I'm like, why can't we as women do this? So my mom raised me to a point of like, this is your backup plan. You do things this way just in case. Like, if love ain't forever for you, learn how to set yourself up. Know how to do X, Y, and Z. Like, just certain gems she just used to drop, but it was always on the line without saying, like, just be able to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. So the more we talk in depth about like gender roles and who's supposed to do what and who's supposed to do what, it's like, what's wrong with me being able to pump my gas if I want to? And though my husband pumps my gas most of the time, sometimes there was one time a while ago, I think, where I got out and pumped my gas, and I think somebody like next to me, I think they kind of yelled out like, why he not, or something happened while they were like, why you not pumping her gas? And they don't know that like you mainly pump my gas. Sometimes women might just want to pump their gas. Like, there's me anyway, I can't speak for every woman, but every now and then I get on my independent kick, and it's like I can do some stuff for myself, but also that comes from like what we were talking about earlier with sometimes when you give somebody too much of the responsibility, like the man is supposed to provide and do this and that and da-da. Now, I'm not going to keep saying handicap because I'm sorry. I don't mean nothing by that word, but I don't want to stunt my abilities to be able to do certain things. Like, I don't know how to cut grass, but I'm open to it. Why? Because one day I might have to cut it for myself. It's like cut it for myself or pay money to somebody. And like, we all know inflation and everything going up. So it's like, I don't know. I just personally take the approach of I want to know how to do everything.
Yeah, I think I recently, and I saw comments of people on Facebook. Recently, there was something that came out about some kids at a school where their coach, the student athletes, I hope they were athletes, they got in trouble, right? They did this instance. So the coach makes the decision that, okay, to help them learn a lesson, I'm going to make them do 300 push-ups. Now, back in my day, coming through sports and things of that nature, you already know what it is. It ain't no complaining. It ain't no, you got to learn your lesson. So, moral of the story, they get hospitalized. These kids, the youth, get hospitalized because the push-ups, what was the number? 300, and it was excessive, so they say. So I know initially I took the stance of most of the people that I seen on social media, and most of the guys that play sports, you kind of see, and I can't lie, I sided with them. I was like, and I still kind of side with them. And it teeters, how can I put it? It does teeter the line of love and struggle. So most of the people on social media was like, man, back in my day, bro, we wouldn't even said nothing. We just would have did those push-ups. Now.
Y'all was built different.
Yeah, like we was built different. And like I said, I'm guilty. I think, what was the question? The question, have you been guilty of making the same type of comments? In that instance, I kind of was like, yeah. Yeah, I'm guilty of it because to me, honestly, is the struggle real doing 300 push-ups? Indeed.
Yeah.
Right? Did you do something wrong to get yourself in this situation? Yes. So that's where it kind of gets a little iffy for me as far as, okay, making someone struggle for the betterment of themselves. Like, I don't think the push-ups could have killed you. I think it could have, it should have. When I look at it, I think the youth could have thought critically. Let me do 10 at a time.
Break it down. Yeah.
Like, let me do 10 at a time instead of trying to outright just bust them all out. And 10 at a time, that's 30 times you going down and doing 10 push-ups. So now, you know, I feel like in that instance, I would take that struggle, if that makes sense. You get what I'm saying? Because I feel like, I don't feel like the coach should be punished because I think he got some flack for it. But we have to be very mindful of what's good struggle, what's bad struggle, let's say positive and negative struggle.
Because I think in that case, there's a way to get them to do all those push-ups. Just like you said, you might have to break it down. Like, you know, could we back in the day have bust them out straight? Maybe, sure. But, you know, it is such thing as change. Like, you know, that may or may not be true. Folks ain't like us back in the day. And the folks before us, we not like them back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, it's just always, my philosophy is it's always more than one way to get something done.
Get something done.
Just because they don't get it done the way you did, it's like, hey, don't be so hard.
So do you feel like the coach is wrong? Like, I don't know who this, I'm siding with the coach. Now, I'm not siding with the youth in that case. So it does make me, and I gotta, okay, I'll go out and say, I was like, they weak. You're weak for that. But then that's not a powerful word.
Yeah, it's not.
You know, so it's like,
I want to question and assess, like, what is their thought process? Is it just, coach want us to do this? Or is it like, nah, we gonna be a beast and like I'm gonna get it, like. Cause I ain't gonna lie, I used to cheer and we used to do conditioning and I hated it, but there was like a little dog in me that was like, nah, I'm finna bust him out. Like, I hate it, but we gotta get home. And like, I don't know, it was just something in us back then that was like, nah, this is what we gotta do. We gonna do the best that we can do and we gonna bust him out. So it's like, I wonder what their thought process was.
I don't know what.
Did they have a weak mentality?
So
I wonder.
I think it's a fear that the previous generation has, and that fear is, will you be able to survive, and will you be able to?
I don't think they even think about that, honestly. This newer generation, I think they just be coasting.
Yeah, but
that's what it seems like.
But people will say our generation coasted as well.
Yeah.
So I think what happens is we eventually, to make you as tough as we were, or to feel like we're giving you a sense of a tool in your tool belt, to survive and of survival, we tend to be like
project.
Yeah, we tend to project like, okay, be more macho.
Be tough.
Because also, let's say that love struggle battle right there, you teeter the line of letting them be too privileged. So we know, especially in the black community, it's in any community really, but the privilege thing gets very tricky. It's a very touchy subject. It's a very hey.
I had a question and my mind just went blank. Do you think it's possible that the older generations like kind of resent the younger generation? Because when you said the privilege, we look at younger kids and be like, oh, y'all are privileged because back in our day we had to be outside. Now y'all get the luxury of just, being in the house, being on your phone, But do you think there's resentment for the older generation? Like, do you think our parents kind of they were tough on us because there's a lot of things they couldn't do. So they was just like projecting it onto us. And with this newer generation, are we projecting the same, or?
I think the older generation they don't want the younger generation to feel too entitled. Because they seen what was before. Like, to be honest, we was born in the 90s.
Yeah.
And we were the last group to see life before the internet boom and technology boom.
A good day.
And life after. So they've seen the generations before us seen even, worse.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, either you get right and know how to survive, or if worse come to worse and we have to go to living off the land, you gonna die.
Yeah.
And our bloodline is gonna die. Like, that's a big thing. Like, your bloodline is gone.
It's kind of like tough love. It's like we pass on like tough love, kind of.
Yeah. So, but in that conversation scenario, I think that struggle was needed. They needed to feel that, because it was a sense of love. So struggle can also be love.
I'm not gonna lie, like, so we don't have kids yet, but I do in my mind, when we do get ready to have kids,
Children.
I am kind of like, well, I hear how my parents were raised, and I love picking my grandmama's brain about like her upbringing in the country, and how like my grandmother is getting ready to be 90, and so you can imagine how things were back then. I just love hearing her little stories, but I'm just like, I wonder, I don't know, like, I don't want our children to be spoiled, but I want them to be humble and know where we come from, and like not be necessarily so privileged, I guess.
No doubt.
Of feeling like, oh, well, I'm in the house, and like I want our kids to know what it's like to go outside and play, or like Saturday morning cartoons, or like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't want them to be too like, oh, I'm on the phone and I'm on my tablet, and like, I don't want to do that.
So I heard this story. I talked to one of my boy Ray. I was talking to him, and he said this youth, the youth kind of, I guess, murdered the mom because the mom took the video game.
Like a child. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the mom took the video game. And I think it was, I kind of tried to debunk it, and I won't here, but I was trying to see, like, of course the youth value these like gifts, these games and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what if we taught that kid how to,
do other stuff.
How to do other stuff.
How to go outside.
Like sometimes
play tag.
It was a struggle that we had to go through when it's hot outside and you can't run in and out. So you just got to stay
drinking
outside.
Out the water hose.
Like that water hose, like, look.
That was the best.
The water hose was alkaline back in the day.
Facts.
I don't know.
Facts.
I don't know what they did, but the water hose was alkaline back in the day. You can.
Kids don't know nothing about drinking out the water hose.
I'm talking about the water hose taste. Boy, come through. But I feel like we should have, in that situation, I mean, we can't come back, you know what I'm saying, rest her soul or whatever, but we have to show a little bit of tough love, but we have to watch the struggle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how much is too much? And I think another thing we don't think about, if you're going to make someone struggle or go through or show this tough love to kind of combat it being a traumatic situation, explain the reasoning behind it.
Don't just criticize.
Yeah, like,
okay.
So I think it was a lot of things that I was put through that I feel like it wasn't explained. It was like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Now I know we can't explain everything, but and I'm saying explain at the end. So let them go through it, and then explain. We have to explain to that younger generation, okay, this is why I put you through it.
Well, off subject but on subject, I think that even attributes to how children communicate, because I look at how I sometimes communicate, or I can't all the way I don't know, I'm critical sometimes of how I communicate, and like a lot of us growing up, we weren't explained stuff. We were just told, do this, don't do that, da, da, da. And it's like, I think it is important further than just like explaining why you can't do this or that, because your kids are learning also how to communicate from you. You can't communicate well, your kids is gonna grow up and not also know how to communicate. So. Children, yes.
We calling them kids, and a kid is a baby goat.
A kid is a baby goat?
Yeah, a kid is a baby goat. Anyway. So,
all of them.
So what's something or some situation in which you believe showing tough love is necessary?
Kids in school, like if they're acting out, especially if kids are getting kicked out or something, like I think you gotta have some tough love, because especially if you're paying money for a school or a specific thing for specific care for a child, and they want to act up just to be acting up, it's like, no, you're gonna have to get some tough love. You might have to get a whooping or something, or talking bad too, like something.
Yeah, something has to happen.
Bad too, but
that is a big thing, like home training and understanding how to conduct yourself when you leave outside the confines of your home. Like, so school, have some respect. Like, I know comedians will say, I'm the class clown. I don't want you to be the class clown. And you can be the lunchroom clown or the playground clown.
But take your education serious.
Take your education serious, you know. Yeah. And in my sense, the education system we know is damaged. But, you know, once you there and you know, don't embarrass yourself first and foremost, because you're always accountable for self. And sometimes, as much as we want to say things happen and people, you know, you grow, some people don't forget certain things. It's just that's just the way of the world. So don't embarrass yourself, and don't embarrass your parents and your family, because come on. So yeah, that's a situation, most definitely.
I thought of children. So I wish that I would have like worked when I was younger. My parents wanted me to put education first, instead of like working and providing for myself. Like I literally had to, when I got to college, I had to sneak behind their back and like work, because I was like, I don't know, I was a kid that I never wanted my parents to take too much care of me, because at the end of the day, if something happened to them, like I need to know how to care for myself. So I feel like in certain situations with kids, like sometimes you need tough love in a work ethic kind of way. Like, cause sometimes kids be at home chilling on video games and all that, and they don't be doing much, and like you're letting them build lazy habits within themselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes you need tough love to be like, okay, if you're not gonna work, you need to be reading or studying or doing something productive. Like, nah, like I love you too much to let you just be not doing, you know, to be slacking. But
that leads to mine. I was gonna say, monetarily, you need tough love. You need monetary tough love. And in the sense of, my mom gave me monetary tough love. So I think my first gig was like 15, and that was like getting into just some crazy summer stuff. And then 16, I was in like an engineering program, making money every week. But you need that tough love monetarily, because money rules the world,
and it teaches you responsibility too.
It teaches you responsibility. Now, it was super tough. My mom was on my head so much. I built up this pride thing. Now I built up this pride thing, and I wish, and I got a credit card, and I messed over this credit card because I was too prideful to ask for help. And after it messed up, I told mom finally, and she was like, oh, I wish you would have just asked me, but mama told me, you know, in a sense it was so tough. He was like, hey, don't play, just get it out the mud. So, you know, but all in all, tough love monetarily helps a person understand how to pay his or her bills, how to,
so you can stay out of debt.
Yeah, stay out of debt, how to gain more income from the money you already earn, like, and to just because it's all about freedom.
Yeah.
It's all about freedom. So monetary is that's a big situation where tough love is needed. Like, you can't give a person everything, because if a person know they can keep coming back, they will. And a lot of people don't have a heart to just be like, no. You know, because you want to help your family, you want to help those you love, but some people will we know this.
Take advantage.
We know this. They'll take. They'll take you for everything. Even when you're gone, they looking to take some of the stuff you had. So you gotta kind of watch it. You gotta kind of watch it. So yeah.
Agreed.
Are there any, I guess, constructs of life in which inflicting struggle has led to the demise of a person?
Ooh. Yes, I think that, and I hate to bring slavery into it, but I did a while ago. Somebody explained so adequately how, you know, back in the day eloquently. Y'all know I don't be saying words right. I inherited that from my mother, rest her soul. What is it?
Eloquently.
Eloquently.
Yeah.
But no, they just kind of made a point to say, like, you know, slaves were getting beat on, so in turn a lot of black men would in turn either beat women, the women would beat the children to stay in, like, basically everybody was trying to make each other stay in line because they didn't want to be sold, they didn't want their families to be sold, or worse, because there are far worse things that happened in slavery. That's another conversation for another time. But it just trickled down because we had to, like, stay in line, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like even with our generation, our grandparents probably inflicted some struggles and some traumas onto, like, our parents unknowingly, of course, and in turn our parents, like, kind of inflicted certain things in us. But a lot of us as people, we don't realize we're inflicting it down. We're just, like, suffering with it. And how many, I won't even say any people specifically, but I know quite a few people that they just ended up not making anything of their lives just because something traumatic happened to them, like maybe their parents were yelling at them, or I don't know. There's so many different things that could go into play with that, but I mean, I think it's a pretty common thing. There's a lot of people today that just, rather than seeing and assessing their traumas, they just like, nope, this is how I am, this is how I'm gonna always be, and I don't care if my kids is upset with me, this is me. Yeah. And it's like, you don't have to be like that. Yeah. Even if your parents was like that, you don't have to be like that. You gotta break the generational generational curse or trauma. Somebody gotta break it eventually. Like, a
generational lineage of trauma.
Yeah.
But so I'm gonna take the stance of a construct of life I've seen often in sports. So sometimes young men or young women, I really can see it in young men, but sometimes you're pushed too hard, and it's on you heavy to be, you know, to try and be something more, to try and be how dad was, or what mom or dad wasn't, you know. So that's very that's a construct that inflicting struggle, it happens and it leads to the demise, because if that child doesn't live up to what they think you know, mom or dad wants, then guess what they do? They end up resenting the sport altogether and quitting it. Or let's go, worst come to worst, they hurt themselves because they can't live up to that expectation. And I think we often we have to watch that. We have to watch that a lot, because
it's like, are we putting pressure on our kids too? Because we struggle.
Yeah, and here's the thing with sports. I mean, I know people like it a lot.
The camera's interior is too hard.
I know people like it a lot, but the richest men and women in the world probably never even touched a basketball, football, baseball, any of that. For sure. So if your child is different, you don't have to make them struggle through something that they don't. like or love. Now, can it help them, teach them discipline? Sure. But if they get to the point of understanding and it's just something that hinders them and just hurts them, like, you don't know what goes on in the locker room, let's be honest. So don't put them through situations like that. Like, I mean, sports is fun and we did it and you probably was good at it, but come on, son. Yeah. Come on. And yeah, I've seen that happen a lot. A lot of the demise happen in people with that sports though, so
agreed.
Cut that out for a second.
Okay.
I want it to be. Yeah. And we'll just stop and go on this. So now I'm not necessarily one of those who've excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm not one of those who has normally put a lot of pressure on someone else. But if you can, in this situation, what does putting too much pressure on someone look like? And I like we already said what it results in, but what does it look like?
It can physically be like, I know my mom and my dad were on me educationally. Like, make sure you get good grades. You got to get into college. Even to the point of, like, my parents told me, like, you're going to college. My brother decided he didn't want to go to college. So my mom, like, gave him a year off to figure out what he wanted to do. And then he ended up doing a program or something. But for me, it was like, no, you're going to college. And I really honestly didn't want to go, but I did it. So much so, like, in college, from the time I started college to the time I graduated, I still stand on it. I feel like college was not for me. And because of that, I'm in debt, like a lot of debt. Like, I got my degree, but like I was trying to figure out majors, and I had a year of like playing, and then most of my years were like studying. I had to kind of learn how to effectively study as a student, but it just was that pressure of, well, at the time I was a first generation college student, like, you got to be the first and you got to graduate because you started, you don't want to be a dropout. And it was just like, honestly, looking back at it, I could have been more successful without, like, my current job I have, most of them don't have degrees. It's really about who you know, but our people were taught, like, you got to go to college and get your education.
So struggling through that resulted in, I mean, you got your degree, but it resulted in like unwarranted debt.
I think that and people pleasing, honestly, because I love and respect my parents, but I just was. I don't know, even past college, like, I'm more prone to be like, well, this is what other people say you're supposed to do, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Let me just do it. Like, everybody puts pressure on you. I think we were talking about, I forgot what the question was, but I was gonna say, like, as a kid, it meant a lot to me to have a teacher say, oh, well, my maiden name is Frierson. Miss Frierson, your daughter, like, I wish, like, one of my teachers when I was in the first grade, she was like, I really wish all the students were just like, Demetria, because she's like quiet, she's good, she knows her answers, and da-da-da. That even put pressure on me to, like, okay, well, I gotta seek approval from, like, adults, and, like, I don't want to get a bad report, and, like, I don't know, it put pressure on me to do what's supposed to be done, but not necessarily what I want to do, if that makes sense. So, what about you?
Too much pressure looked like, for me, like, back to the sports thing. It was the push on sports. Now, I'm a big guy. I've always been a bigger guy. I played basketball. Knew I wasn't going nowhere. I was good. I was pretty decent, but I didn't. Come on, as a bigger guy, I was urged to pursue football, and this wasn't even more so of a pressure from my family, because mom, she could have cared less. She could have cared less, and I had trouble breathing, like bronchitis and stuff. So it was only so much I could do playing in grass and stuff like that. So she could have cared less about me pursuing football. Now, as far as family members and people in the community just being like, what school you go to? They just fascinated by your size. What school you go to? I had some coaches like, come play here in high school. Like, come play here. And I was just like, and played football, and even had a school looking at me, University of Memphis. And somehow they ended up at our game. I don't know why, but they was looking at me, but it just didn't play through. So I went to college, and still internally hearing that stuff like, go out for it. I kind of started to pursue it at Austin P, and I went to and this is where I knew it was just like this. I was finna hurt myself, but luckily I pulled away. I made the right decision.
What do you mean hurt yourself?
Because it was like too much pressure was being put on me. Like, go after it. It was like internal talks of hearing other people's voices say, go after this football thing. And Austin P wasn't that good at the time. So they needed some help. So I'm like, cool. I go to the office and go and do this. And they like, we got to put you through the NCAA clearinghouse and all this talk. And I'm like, they like, what position? And I'm kind of like, I want to be on the defensive line and do my thug thizzle. They like, no, I was good at offense too. Offensive line. Tackle, baby, right tackle. But
Okay.
But they was like, well, we want you on offense. So I'm like, okay, one ding. Y'all want me? Okay, I ain't want to play this position. So then I go and talk to a coach, and the coach is like, well, okay, what's your major? And I'm like, my major is chemistry. The one thing I did go to college and think about is I'm gonna do something that challenges me. Was I the best chemist? Not necessarily. But I wanted to pick a major. If I'm gonna pay for it, I'm gonna pay for something that challenges me. It's and it was a challenge to make it through, but I made it through. And so he told me I had to change my major. And I'm like, oh, change my major, because they would want so much from you. They was like, well, I want you to be like a business major. Now, no knock at anybody that went to Austin P at this time, but our business department wasn't even accredited
at the time. So it's like, I'll be paying all this money to go through this program that's not accredited, and I probably still, it wasn't no promise of scholarship either. So that's why I said I saved myself, and that's the one time I could say I blocked out all the pressure, and I'm happy I walked away from it, because they wanted you to be up at 5 a.m. and you can't go home, and I'm like, bro, I'm already 3 hours away from home, and y'all talking about, oh, you gotta be here to practice and study hall, and I'm like, I'm like not on duty. Somebody's sleepy. Sorry.
But I'm like not on duty. But that was a situation that resulted in me walking away. But I can only imagine if I did go through with it, how my life would have changed tremendously. So I'm happy I said no. So what does taking a loving stance look like versus a struggle stance?
I think a loving stance looks like me actually checking in with, whether you're a parent and checking in with your child, whether you're a friend checking in with another friend, whether you're a husband checking in on a wife, or vice versa. I think it's checking in effectively and affirming, because especially with kids, I don't think parents understand how much it means, especially fathers, how much it means to a child when you just affirm them of like, you did so good today, or, you know, you did this right, like, good job. Like, that goes a long way in a kid's mind, and you're actively training them to be the adult they're gonna be. Like, your voice as a parent is the internal voice your kid is going to take in. So I think that it's important to let that voice be loving, not me criticizing you for doing stuff. I think it's really weighing, like, what am I what is 80% of what I tell my child or my friend or my husband? Is it always, you doing this wrong? Like, you keep doing this wrong. Or is it, babe, I love you, and I love and appreciate that you cook dinner. I'm so thankful. Thank you for that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's just showing more appreciation. To me, that's what a loving stance is.
A loving stance.
Versus struggle of being like, well, you just got to do it because I had to do it, so do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's no explanation. You're just literally passing down struggle.
Pounding people.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing a loving stance is just providing understanding.
Okay.
Do you know why? Like, I remember being at Mama Nisi house, and somebody wanted something. One little kid wanted something, and I was like, okay, if you want this, do you know, okay, do this to get this. Mm-hmm. And I explained to him, well, you know why you did this? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I want it. So I'm like, well, you understand, you have to be on your P's and Q's and know this. But I feel like taking a loving stance is providing understanding for
explanation and understanding
why you're putting someone through a situation or scenario. Struggle is just putting them through it. Don't ask no questions. That authoritative type delivery. Like, don't ask no questions.
Just do it because I said so.
Just do it because I said so. They do it because it said so. I feel like they do need explanations. Yeah. Because honestly, what it is, we've matured in our thought processes. They're still developing. So they aren't going to get most of the things. And you could be like, I would have did this at your age.
Different times.
As
much as we just want to keep saying that, it's literally a different time and age.
So you don't know that. You can't play the what if game.
Or what about saying, well, it wasn't explained to me, but
now that's when it wasn't explained to me, so I had to
figure it out.
So, and that's what I'm saying. You got to give them some type of understanding or explanation. Like, I give you a tidbit, I'll give you a crumb more than I had. Give them something.
It's important to not do that because you're trying to build. In the sense of kids, you're trying to build better kids than you were. Better children than you were. You and your generation. Each generation has to progress. We can't keep passing down stuff. So just because you didn't have X, Y, and Z doesn't mean you can't give that. That's not an excuse because my parents didn't love me. They just told me to do X, Y, and Z. That's not an excuse. You know right from wrong, right? You know it didn't feel good to you, right? So let's change that.
Right.
Even in marriages, same thing. Like,
Same. So this is the last question as far as this goes. So how can we communicate to generations that's holding the keys to make better future generations? How can we do that? What would you, or basically to sum it up, what would you say to someone who needs to understand love and struggle? It's a teetering, it's a thin line between it, but we need to push more love. What would you say to him?
I'm a very observant person, so for me, I would say take time to I think I'm losing my voice. Anyway, take time to like look at generations past, and though it's slow progress, we are progressing. Did I say that right? Progressing. So I would say that you want the generation to come to hold the key, so, I lost my train of thought in that moment. I forgot what I was going to say.
I say this. I say the biggest thing that I can say is let's provide. If it's not all the answers about a situation and trying to help somebody through a situation, explain some of it. Yeah. And to let them, to kind of give them, throw the dog a bone. Throw the dog a bone so they can understand that you're not just doing this out of spite or out of a negative space, because that's the biggest thing. Once a person knows, like, okay, it's a reason for this, more so of a positive outcome that may come from this, then they're more prone to really try their hardest to understand and get to get through the situation at hand. So the biggest thing to communicate is heal yourself, heal yourself and forgive those who didn't do right by you, and take the stance of being more positive and throwing the dog a bone. Set up the alley-oop. Throw the lob. And hopefully they can slam dunk it. And that's just how it is.
I was going to say, it finally came back to me. From observing each generation, I feel like it's good to assess. Assessing is something we don't do enough as people, by the way, like assessing ourselves, our weaknesses, our strengths, where we could be better, what we don't focus on. And so it's the same thing, what was the strengths and weaknesses of each generation, and how can we better the next generation, or what's needed for the generation to come that we didn't have, and apply that. I think so. If it's more affirmations, like affirming, like that our kids, like, you're so smart, you're beautiful, you're so talented, you have this talent, yes, you're the best at it, or
you're a
really
bad
good.
mother, shut your mouth.
You know what I'm saying? That alone goes a long way with the next generation. We're going to build confident children, I said it right, children to come, the next generation. So yeah,
we gotta build it. We gotta start somewhere. We gotta start somewhere. But
yeah,
I know that was the last question, but this leads us into a new segment on our podcast, and this segment is called Podcast Clip of the Week. So what we're going to do, we're going to play this clip, let you hear the audio, and show you the podcast where it comes from, and we're going to give you a brief little, a feeling of how we feel about the clip. So 1 second, let's get this pulled up. All right, so this clip is just a quick little 1 minute clip, and this clip is from
Know For Sure.
Podcast. Whose podcast is this?
This is B. Simone and her best friend Megan Ashley.
Okay.
Megan A. Brooks.
So here
Megan
we go.
Ashley.
We're going to listen to this clip audio, and we're going to assess it in a second. So
check it out.
Check it out, and the link, if you look in the bio, the link is there for you to check out the full episode, most def. But we have the link for the 1 minute clip that we kind of are assessing. So I won't.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's an amazing podcast for women. Like, it's one of my favorites, y'all. Check them out though, for sure.
Women,
for sure.
But nevertheless, let's listen to it. Here it is.
I feel like people don't. I feel like healing is hard. I don't think people are as honest about how scary healing is.
Yeah, I don't think they know. They don't even haven't tried it. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like they haven't because it's scary.
Yeah.
I think if you ask any person
Hell yeah.
who's been through healing or who's going through healing, that is a very scary, 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 scary thing. Which is why people do a lot of projection, right? This is why it's so easy to write hateful comments on Instagram. Because you're so afraid of what's on the inside of you.
The shit that's been buried under the rug for years. Yeah.
It's a very scary thing.
But
It's
that's what I'm
scary
saying. You gotta start there. At least acknowledging it. Like, that's not gonna happen overnight. But being like, okay.
So yeah.
I agree.
So yeah. Honestly, I just kind of said that. Healing. We have to heal from the past traumas that we have endured. That we've went through.
I do think that's a real thing though, and maybe why we keep projecting. So like, even the example she gave of like people with negative comments, like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm one of those people when I was younger, because that was the wave at the time. Like, it was more, I would give my opinion more on social media because it was new and it was like, oh, people can see me. But now it's like, you know how much energy it takes to really write a negative comment on like social media, and it's like a lot of the people that be saying negative stuff about there's some celebrities that's like, okay, yeah, we all thinking it, so you just wrote it. But there's some celebrities that don't bother nobody. They don't be doing nothing. They be getting to the money and whatever. And it's always going to be somebody that has something negative to say. And it's like, why is that, bro? And a lot of people on social media are really just projecting.
A big thing that people have to watch, is that projecting type of situation. So to everybody who are Christian or Baptist and Christian as far as Baptist, Church of Christ, whatever denomination you claim, the biggest thing you learn is you can't cast judgment because you are not God. But we get on these social media platforms and we do just that. So doesn't that contradict your religious beliefs? So who are you?
I mean, I feel like even outside of religion, everybody does that, and I feel like everybody projects.
I'm just
to an extent, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Honestly, what the lady said was beautiful. Healing, it is scary. I think the one thing, like shadow work and asking yourself questions why you do certain things or why I operate this way. I've learned. Okay, I wasn't big on journaling, and I always thought, look, I had sisters, some of them, they had diaries. I didn't care, but I started to journal, and not too long ago, I was honest with myself and said, hey, Josh, you like to learn a lot of things to block out the fact that you should be doing things instead of learning so much. Now, for me to sit down and write that, I wrote it in the morning, around 4 a.m. It was a slap to my ego. It was a slap to my pride, but I needed it, but it did hurt. It hurt because I was healing.
You're being real with yourself. That is a part of healing. Yeah.
So healing is scary, but it's necessary. Healing is scary, but it's necessary.
Very, I like that.
I'm putting that on a shirt. Don't steal my stuff. Healing is scary, but it's necessary.
I want to say that because she didn't say it in this clip, but she was saying it's like saying, oh, I'm gonna just pick up a few things off the floor versus like, oh, getting up under the rug, up under the couch or something like that. You know, it's gonna take more time to get that done than just the quick stuff. A lot of people are scared of that, and it's like, no, take time, make time to get up under your own personal rug and behind the area behind the couch we overlook. Like, no, heal. And it starts, honestly, because you're probably like, well, how do I heal? It starts with shadow work. Well, like she said, it starts with acknowledgement first. But I think shadow work is something that's worth looking into, which we did do an episode on that, episode 13.
The episode
episode work. 13. But yeah, doing shadow work is one of the processes of healing. And when I tell y'all it's so uncomfortable, be prepared. Be prepared to really just be uncomfortable and be as open and honest with yourself. And you realize the more open and honest with yourself about certain things, that's how you heal. That's the healing. Healing is not like warm and fuzzy and like, I figured out a problem. Like, no, it's sometimes you're gonna figure out some stuff or where certain things come from, and it might make you cry, it might make you sad, it might take you really through some triggering things in your childhood, but it's necessary to grow.
In the words of my boy Donkey off Shrek,
not Donkey.
Well, he kind of called Shrek an onion. You got multiple layers. It's like feeling, but that's what life is. Life in healing,
multiple layers.
There's multiple layers to it. So you got to peel back layer after layer, and you only get deeper and deeper. Your eyes start to water more and more. Ooh, that's a great analogy.
Ooh wee.
Yeah. But listen, we ain't finna hold y'all no longer. Guess what? We have another segment, our last little segment. Just stick with me. I did this. You know what I'm saying? Tell them what's coming up.
We got Poetry in the Park with your boy Husky Hefe, Jose Cortez, the Fat Fitness model.
She said it wrong.
My bad. How it go? Show me how it's done.
We got Poetry in the Park with your boy Husky Hefe, the Fat Fitness model, Jose Cortez. Can't forget Jutro. But yeah, man, this is Poetry in the Park. I hope you all enjoy it. We thank y'all for coming out and being with us on this episode. Yeah, anything else you wanna?
Well, I think that nope, that's it. I think that's it, y'all. We love y'all. See y'all next week.
I may have lost my podcast, but I seen a teeter that thin line between love and struggle, and I'm loving y'all for coming through. Peace.
Is that a heart?
That's a
that heart is struggling.
That's a gang sign, cuz.
I hope not. My bad.
What's up? I'm Josh, and this is Poetry in the Port, Season 3. Today's poem is entitled, Seasons Change, but the Feeling Lows. The news said in the forecast we can expect snow and ice, so we went to get milk on a cold, shivery night. I was only focused on the Christmas lights, nothing like warm, hot chocolate, your traditions for those winter nights. With you gone, the hot chocolate don't taste the same. Smile on my face, it only masks the pain. I'm present, but at the same time, I'm not past the pain. Raindrops, rain after rain, the roses had to endure. Watch them blossom. After all this pain, it's only temporary. The sun will shine again someday. Soon enough, the bees will be buzzing, the world will be sneezing from the pollen in the trees. My only wish is that you'll spring back to me. It's true, I've grown with, but now without you, what am I supposed to do? What about our walks and talks? I'm about to dive in, the deep end. Watch me, splash. The sun beating on my skin, a cup of water is needed, but we can't go in. Next best thing, the water hose, a constant flow of alkalinity, adventures with my partner in crime. Our bonds were tight like chemistry. Now the trees are crying. What do you mean? Well, the leaves are falling, the trees are still strong. We're just in the heat of autumn. Don't falter or feel down. The seasons may change and I may be gone, but my love is forever at your altar. This is Poetry in the Park. Seasons change, but the feeling lows.